Chapter 51. The Battle of Ithanel was done, but the Crown Princess of Emerenia had never been busier, starting immediately after the battle. Her first responsibilities were to the wounded and dead. She and her father spent hours in the infirmary visiting with the patients well enough to receive them and the families of those who were not. In the days to come, they would receive the grieving survivors of those killed in the battle, which they learned included 3 staff members slain by the Scions for refusing to cooperate. Such a small request is the least we can do for them. Then there was a matter of the royal palace itself. The main dining hall and the royal council chamber sustained significant damage during the battle. Workers already were busy to ensure the building remained structurally safe, with extensive repairs taking place in the weeks to come. Isabella admittedly knew nothing about building construction, but while her father held emergency meetings with the remaining members of the royal council, he tasked her with overseeing this important job. She put in long, late hours to learn it. And finally, she volunteered to help rebuild Emerenia's House of Magic, which lost all its top leaders in the revolt. Isabella decided to schedule a meeting later in the week with some key house sorcerers, those who were more open-minded than many of their peers. She had a few ideas she wanted to share with them. So much to do. By the end of the evening, Isabella's head throbbed and her feet ached. She knew she would be asleep as soon as she crawled under the covers. Her bedroom next to her study called to her. As she rubbed her temples and mustered the energy to stand up from her desk, there came a soft knock at the study door. She acknowledged it, and Wingate stepped inside the room. "Lieutenant, it is good to see you. All is well here, so you and your colleagues can resume." "Oh, Wingate, I am so sorry." The giant man's expression never changed, but somehow she knew what he had come to tell her. "Yes, Your Majesty. It is my sad duty to inform you that a messenger just arrived from Nassim. Commander Corrigan has been found nearby, along with Kaz Kozan." "Loyalty above all," she whispered. Corrigan had been a constant presence around the palace since before she was born. Isabella grew up under his watch. As a young girl, she feared the gruff guardian, but as she got older, so did her appreciation for his role in making the royal palace a safe, comfortable home for her family. And now he was gone. She realized when Corrigan had not returned that this was the most likely outcome, but having it confirmed brought a lump to her throat. To her surprise, after a brief pause, Wingate continued. "Your Majesty, I realize this is a difficult time for your family and the kingdom, but with your permission, I wish to go to Nassim and recover Commander Corrigan." Isabella squeezed his taut forearm. Any greater show of affection would have made Wingate uncomfortable. "Bring him home, my friend." Meanwhile, Bach recovered in the infirmary, an entire wing at the back of the palace's second floor. After receiving treatment from a healer, he received his own room, an honor typically reserved for the highest-ranking nobles, rather than being housed with the other wounded patients in the ward. He normally would have balked at the special treatment, but feeling as poorly as he did, he accepted the gift. He already began to get stronger within a few days. Before long, the boredom of staying in bed for hours on end outweighed the pain of his stab wound, injured shoulder, and broken hand. Isabella and Aventil came by regularly to check on him. The way she clung to his arm and how he leaned his body against hers made it clear their relationship was stronger than ever. And I couldn't be happier, because my friends are happy again. Kotarian also visited. "Please understand, peasant turned patient, I am not making any extra effort to see you. I just happen to be on this floor." Bach grinned. "Of course. But since you are here, a kind nurse delivered a bottle of wine in that bag, along with 2 glasses. I would offer to share, but if you are in a hurry." "I suppose my business here could wait a few more moments?" Kotarian raised his eyebrows and reached into the bag. You were telling me the other day about the first spell you employed against Salandrian. Not a bad choice for a novice, but let me explain what you should have done instead. Late on the fourth evening of his infirmary stay, Isabella came along, bringing a small wooden chest with an ornately decorated lid. Bok, I am sorry it has taken me all day to visit. She sighed as she pulled a chair to his bedside. Many things require my attention, and I never have enough time. But I suppose that is my duty. Isabella, you don't always have to carry the burden of Emerinia's national morale. Bach pushed himself up to a seated position. It is okay to get frustrated. Just don't let it become a defining characteristic, as with Kotarian. Ha! Well, in that case, in the strictest of confidences, I have no idea why it should take so many months to complete the repairs. The first floor of the palace will look like a rock quarry for the foreseeable future. Bach grinned. Maybe we go back to the old ways. You could order the foreman hung by his ankles in the Great Bazaar. The thought has crossed my mind. Do not dare repeat that, she laughed. In truth, I should be grateful. Bach put up his hand. Stop right there. You expressed your frustration. How do you feel? Isabella put a knuckle under her chin. Surprisingly better. Thank you, my friend. I hadn't expected to receive the gift of clarity, but I did bring a surprise for you. She held out the box for him, and Bach set it on his lap. Inside were 5 handcrafted, highly detailed wooden dolls, each representing a monarch from Emerinia's past. The paint on the dolls was worn in spots where little fingers had played with them. They were mine as a child. My parents gave them to me in my 6th summer. I thought your nephew Noji might like to have them. Would he like to have them? I cannot imagine a more priceless treasure for a small child. On their own, they cost far more than his family could afford. That they were a personal gift from the princess only magnified their value exponentially. Not that any of the Omats would entertain an offer for them. Bach gently closed the lid. I cannot accept such a gift. What if you and Aventil have children one day? Won't you want them to have these toys? I have no shortage of treasures to pass down to future generations, Bok. It is one of the benefits of being a princess. You certainly have enough pillows to share with Inishari descendants for centuries to come, Bach joked. You have but one head. What do you need enough pillows on your bed to supply all of Sola Valley? Isabella waved a finger at him. If I recall, those pillows saved your life. Perhaps you should buy me a few more as a thank you. Their laughter, uneasy at first, became an uncontrollable roar, to the point that the knife wound in Bach's side barked at him to stop. Well, Noji will cherish them as much as you did. These dolls may even earn me a brief reprieve from Yatta's sharp tongue. I need to meet Yatta. As an only child, I used to dream about having a companion with whom I could share adventures, as you did with your sister. Bach rolled his eyes. Well, be warned. Big sisters play rough. But yes, I would love for you to meet Yatta, and I know she would be honored. As would I. Their laughter subsided, and Isabella looked up at the ceiling to consider her next words. Oh, Bach, I never meant to hurt you, my friend. But I deceived you, and I am so— Wait. Do not apologize. Bach hugged his knees to his chest. Please, Isabella. That apology already has been given, accepted, and forgotten. He leaned up in his hospital bed and pushed a pillow under his back for support. Do you remember what happened at the start of this adventure? When those wolves attacked, I became paralyzed with fear, precisely when you and Aventil needed me. You had every right then to send me home in disgrace. or at a minimum to never trust me again. Instead, you remained kind and supportive, as you have treated me from the beginning. Then I find out you are not a perfect princess after all. You made a mistake in not telling me the truth. Yes, I was upset, but you did so to protect your father. Would I also lie to protect my family? I suspect I would. And I have little to lose by sharing a secret that would shake Imarinia to its core. You, on the other hand, have been entrusted with our nation's safety. Of course you would be conflicted by such a choice. So if you aren't perfect, what is left? A loyal daughter, a brave defender of the kingdom, a scholar who never stops learning, and the best friend I could ever hope to have. Isabella hesitated before speaking. Bok, I do not know what to say, other than I am more grateful than you can ever know for those words. But I do not wish to avoid responsibility for my actions because I am the crown princess. Bok smiled warmly. Believe me, I will never tell you what you wish to hear just to curry favor with our monarch-to-be. It's not like I'm on the invitation list for the Grand Merchant's Gala. Isabella, you never held your status over me. How could I ever hold it against you? A healer timidly stuck his head inside the room, waiting until Isabella invited him to enter. When she did, he gave Bach a chalice of bitter herb tea to drink. Bach decided it was better to quaff the brew quickly, rather than linger on getting it down. This will help him rest, your majesty. The healer bowed to Isabella as he backed out of the room. Isabella leaned back in her chair. I'm glad we had this chance to visit, just the two of us, without fending for our lives against magic-crazed wolves or Masok marauders. The herbal tea took effect quickly. Bach grew drowsier by the moment. I know. And I'm glad too. Shh. She took his hand in hers. Just rest. They sat in silence as Bach became increasingly groggy. He fell asleep with Isabella still holding his hand.